Hey guys, it's Mrs. Nebaker, and I'm here today to talk to you about trig functions, and specifically we're talking about the multi-steps. So you do one thing and then you do one more thing. The in-between part, after you get one answer, you have to make sure that you're rounding to the nearest tenth and then your final answer as well. So remember the tenth is the one decimal after the decimal, or the one number after the decimal, and we look at the number after that. Anyways, you should be very good at rounding by now, but we'll go over it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to talk about SOHCAHTOA because we are talking about trig. So trig needs the trig identities. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what this value of x is, and I'm not talking about the whole side length, I'm talking about from here to here. So basically we have two triangles squished together, and if we use one part of our triangle, we can get the other missing pieces of our triangle. So this is a multi-step, so you're going to have to do one thing first. So I'm going to focus on the side that doesn't have a missing piece, but there's still some pieces missing. And here they give you that this is 35 degrees, this is 41 degrees, and this is a right angle. And this problem is not on your assignment today, but it's very similar to today's assignment. I just wanted to give you more examples to practice. Okay, so the thing about this is you could solve for all of these missing angles and then use whatever trig functions you wanted to, but you already have enough information here, so you don't have to do anything else. Okay, so I always like to label my hypotenuse first. So my hypotenuse is across from my right angle. Even though it's not pictured here, it's still on this side as well. So this is your hypotenuse. So this is the angle that I'm given, so I want to stand next to it. So here's my cute little guy. When I stand next to it here, this side length that I'm given is the opposite. And then I want to figure out, I don't need my hypotenuse because it doesn't connect to my next triangle, so it's kind of useless. If I get it, that's great. But then what am I going to do? So what we want to do is we want to figure out this joining piece. So this joining piece is very important because they share it. So it's the same measurement in both triangles. So instead of solving for my hypotenuse, I have my opposite. I'm going to solve for my adjacent. So we have our opposite and we're trying to get the adjacent. So opposite and adjacent is TOA. So that's why I like to write out my trig function so you can see what pieces you have very clearly. Okay, so we're going to use tan. So we have tan, we're standing at 35 degrees, and that ratio is the opposite, so 27 over your adjacent, but we're not sure what that is. Okay, so we're going to try to get this variable by itself like you did yesterday. So we're going to multiply each side by a, and then that divides over there. So now I have a times tan of 35 degrees equals 27, but I want to get my a by itself, so we're going to have to divide each side by tan of 35 degrees, tan of 35 degrees. Okay, so now I have the a by itself. So my a equals 27 over tan of 35 degrees. So we plug this guy into our calculator. Okay, so I like to use lots of parentheses. I don't think they're that necessary, but I get a little nervous, so we just go with more parentheses is better than no parentheses. So if you see here, I put a parenthesis right at the beginning because I want to talk about just the tan of 35, and again, I don't think you need it, but I like to be just sure, so I don't want the calculator to misunderstand anything of what I say. So we're going to divide 27 by the tan of 35, and we get a number. So this a is 38, and this is where it's important that you round to the nearest tenth. So remember, one number after the decimal is a 5. We look at the number after that. If it's 5 or higher, this guy goes up, and it is. Remember, they don't go down though. Okay, so that's going to be a 6. All right, so it's really important that you round here, or else the next part will be incorrect. So we know that a, this guy, just put that guy right there, is 38.6. So we have 38.6. So that's the measurement of this side length. So now if we're looking at this cute little triangle on this side, we're going to stand by this degree measurement because that was given to us. Again, you could have solved for this guy up here. It's totally fine. Okay, when we're looking at this, I always like to put h first. so the other two sides are not my h's, so I don't get confused. When I'm standing here, this guy, this x, is now my a, and the one across is my opposite. So again, we're going to use tan because we have adjacent and opposite. And we're going to set up our ratio according to our picture. Okay, so this time we have the tan of 41 degrees is equal to your opposite, which is your new measurement we just got, 38.6, divided by your x. We don't know what that is. And this is our whole goal. We're trying to figure this out. On your quiz today, though, this middle piece is what you're going to be filling out as well. So make sure you know how to do that. Okay, so now we're going to try to get our x by itself. We do the same thing that we did with the a, so we multiply each side by x, and when you do this many times, you can see the pattern. X times tan of 41 is equal to 38.6. Then we get the x by itself by dividing each side by tan of 41, just like we did before. And x is equal to 38.6 divided by tan of 41 degrees. Okay, so now we're going to plug this in our calculator and then get our final answer. Okay, again, I like to use lots of parentheses because I'm a crazy person, and that's fine. Tan of 41, and we get 44.4 for our x value, which is the perfect answer. Okay, so that's how you do this kind of problem, where you have one of the side lengths on the bottom next to your x, and then the angles are not on the bottom, they're like different spots. Okay, I was going to ask you if you had any questions, but can't hear you. All right, let's do one more, just so that you really have got this down. All right, so again, the way that I start this is I'm looking at the triangle that has the information given to me. So I have two pieces of information here, which is better than only one piece of information here. And this is 38 degrees. It got all crazy when I wrote down. Sorry. And then we're trying to figure out this x. So we need this in between, this shared side. We have to figure this out because this links the first triangle to the second triangle. And that's what we're trying to do. All right, so this is where my right triangle is because, remember, a line is equal to 180 degrees. So if I have 90 on one side, then it has to be 90 on the other. You can call it supplementary or a linear pair, whatever you want to call it. All right, and we can only use trig functions if we have a right triangle, so that's very important to know that it's a right triangle. So here, I like to label my h so I don't get confused. And then I'm going to be standing up here this time because that's where my 30 degree is. And we want to figure out this piece. So from standing up here, this side length that's next to me is adjacent. And I have my hypotenuse. So for adjacent and hypotenuse, I'm going to use ka. See, adjacent, hypotenuse, ka. Again, it's important to write down your trig functions. Hopefully you have them memorized by now, but if not, just write them down every time. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we're going to use cosine, and we are at 30 degrees, and it is adjacent, which we don't know, over our hypotenuse, which is 16. Oh, this one's nice. Okay, so we're trying to get the a by itself, so all we have to do to get the a by itself is the opposite. So right now it's getting divided, so the opposite of division is multiplication, just like we did above. But now we're done. We know that a is equal to 16 times cosine of 30 degrees. Again, I like lots of parentheses because I'm silly, but that's fine. Better be silly than have your calculator mess up. Okay, so cosine of 30, which is 13.85, which we're going to round to the nearest tenth, so 13.9 is our in-between value. We're going to call that our a, but because we're going to write down our a's and h's over here, I'm going to get rid of this a in the middle so we don't get confused, and I'm just going to write down this value in the middle, so 13.9. Okay, so now, oh, we're still standing at the top. We love it up there. It's a cute little mountain. Okay, and we have our adjacent. Oh, let's put our h in. Okay, so we have our adjacent, which is our 13.9, and we're trying to get our opposite, so we're going to use tan. So tan of 38 degrees is equal to your opposite, which we're not sure of, over your adjacent, which is 13.9. Oh, this one's a nice one too. So in order to get the x by itself, we have to do the opposite. Since it's getting divided, we have to multiply. What we do to one side, we do to the other, because equations need to be equal. So now we know that 13.9 times tan of 38 degrees is equal to our x value. So we're going to type that in our calculator, because that's how we're going to get our numbers, 13.9, and then tan of 38, and that gives us 10.85, but remember we want to round to the nearest tenth, so this is really 10.9 is our x value. And that's this side length. Oh, sorry, that was crazy. That's the side length right here by our O. So this guy right here, we'll put a box around him. Let's not get confused, is 10.9. Okay, so hopefully this helped teach you and remind you how to do multi-step trig functions. It was so fun. We miss you guys so much. Okay, good luck on your quiz. Let us know if you have questions. Bye.